time to fly.
The red pill is purely knowledge. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, but it's a special kind of knowledge. It's about understanding the systems in which we operate, the fabric of the universe, and the red pill gives you power. That's why we're drawn to it. The red pill is knowledge, and as Sir Francis Bacon once wrote, knowledge itself is power. When people fear the red pill, what they're afraid of is understanding deeper truths. They might prefer to remain in a state of blissful ignorance, existing in a world they don't fully understand but feel they can navigate. They take the blue pill instead and stop questioning. But if you're a realist like me, you want the truth. However uncomfortable reality may be, you want to know the world for what it truly is. Much of society doesn't want men to take the red pill. They want us to keep playing our role in a system not fully designed for us. They don't want us to take the power that comes when we let the light in and allow our minds to expand. Let's explore the potential power available to us from taking the red pill. People assume that when you learn about society, your behaviour will automatically change, but that's not true. Your future is yours to shape. No one else can tell you what to do.
You don't know me.
When you learnt that the tooth fairy wasn't real as a kid, a true red pill moment, and you lost a tooth, what did you do next? Did you tell your parents you knew the truth? Or did you say nothing, place that tooth under your pillow, and collect the coins when you woke up? You see, there are always choices to be made. Each man must choose what he does with the knowledge that he is only really valued for what he can provide, that he essentially has no intrinsic worth. Former Australian Prime Minister Paul Keating once said, "If you want a friend in politics, get a dog." It makes sense because most men at some point realise that people tend to stick around while you're useful and not much longer. Almost every man learns this. Maybe it's when you lose your job and people stop calling. Maybe it's when your partner's disposition changes the moment you stop wasting money on her, or when your friends go quiet once you stop doing favours or offering support. But you don't have to do anything with this information. You can keep the same job, the same friends, the same girl. Nothing external has to change. The power comes from knowing. You might stop over-investing in people who only show up when things are going well. You might let some relationships slide. You might choose work that brings peace rather than pressure. You start to see more clearly where your energy goes and why. You also start asking better questions. Why am I valued? Is it because I'm reliable? Because I earn? Because I fix things for others? And if I stop doing that, who would still care? If you're strategic, you can invest in the things people secretly value, the traits and strengths they don't always admit they want, like money and an impressive car. That's how you get results without pandering or pretending. Alternatively, you start building protections, physical, financial, and mental, so you're not constantly forced to prove your value to others. You get stronger, develop skills, and set up your life in a way that doesn't leave you exposed. You stop bending to please, because you no longer need what they're offering. Over time, you conform less to the will of others and become someone who can live on his own terms. But being red-pilled as a man doesn't mean you have to go to extremes, such as completely giving up on women or just using them in some way. There will always be a place for love and connection. We are creatures of flesh and bone and shouldn't detach like robots. But once you understand what people really respond to, your decisions become more deliberate and serve you better in the long run. The danger of the red pill is when new information pushes you out of alignment. For example, your dream may have been to get married and live happily ever after. Once you learn that this dream is pure fantasy, you could lose the will to keep playing the games involved in dating and courtship. Just like Neo in The Matrix, You need to adjust to your new reality, such as insights into evolutionary psychology and the nature of human relationships. Neo doesn't wake up and instantly win. He's disoriented, angry, unsure.
Welcome to the real world.
But over time, he adapts, he trains, and eventually he learns how to move through the system with control. That's the real point. The red pill isn't the end of your goals. It's the beginning of strategy. You don't have to abandon relationships altogether. You just stop walking into them blind. You might decide that marriage is still worth it, but not without safeguards. You start vetting differently. You look for loyalty, not just attraction. You set boundaries, protect your assets, and avoid the traps that catch most men off guard. But for older men, especially those who've been through divorce or custody battles, the path might look different. Some decide they're done chasing relationships, and that's fine. You don't need to cling to old dreams. Letting them go creates space for something better. You focus on what you can build and control. That might be a business, your health, your independence, or a project that actually matters to you. Something solid, something that lasts. What makes the red pill beautiful? It's the splendor of living a real, authentic life. You don't have to follow the script written by feminists and beta men. You can see the world in all its primitive brutality, and you can leverage the knowledge of how things really work to fulfill your true potential. Blue pill thinking would have you believe that men and women are essentially the same, that relationships are equal exchanges between identical partners, but those ideas collapse under reality. Men are told to be kind, respectful, and treat women as equals. They follow that advice and get discarded anyway. Women respond to strength, confidence, and leadership. It's the contrast that creates attraction, not similarity. Masculinity is treated like a flaw. Boys are told to sit still, speak softly, and be less of a problem. But when there's real danger or real work to be done, the world still turns to men, as it always has. The problem isn't masculinity, it's the matrix trying to suppress it while still feeding off it. Red pill awareness cuts through that. Men start rebuilding what they never should have been taught to hate. Relationships are another trap. Men are told to settle down, get married, provide, and be patient. But when it falls apart, as it often does, he's the one who pays. The law doesn't just fail to protect him, it turns against him. He was playing a rigged game. And girls need the red pill too. They've been taught to chase careers, delay family until they find themselves, suppress their femininity, and treat men as optional. But reality catches up. Too many end up childless, alone, and on antidepressants, trying to cope with outcomes no one warned them about. They followed the rules and got nothing they actually wanted. The truth would have served them better. Commentators are desperate to disparage red pill thinking. They want to make it seem toxic. They study the red pill community like we're monkeys in a zoo. Stuff them. They don't know us or our individual stories. We will expand our knowledge, and we will use that power however we want to. In fact, it is naive and stupid for people who are not red pill to pretend to understand what a red pill person thinks and will do. As I said at the start, knowledge is power. You don't automatically put yourself in a smaller box by discovering what lies beyond. In fact, it is just the opposite. Red pill awareness doesn't trap you, it frees you. It gives you options. You know what you're dealing with. You make informed decisions. Other people are playing the game. If you refuse to participate, you risk cutting yourself off from opportunities, resources, and influence. There's nothing noble about losing by default. Principles matter, but so does pragmatism. How would you have got through school if you saw it only as a mechanism for producing docile workers? Maybe that's exactly what it was, but getting through it gave you a foothold. It opened doors. Sometimes you play along, not because you're blind, but because you're strategic. There's no shame in using the system when it suits you. The point is to stay awake while doing it. Red pill knowledge means you can bend where it's useful and hold firm where it matters. You don't have to fight everything, you just have to chart the best course forward for you.